What is going on? Run Pure Sports. We got Swing for the Fences. I'm Holden Kushner. I got JT. I got Hoop. I asked these guys for one random baseball player. It takes them 10 minutes to answer, and I'm stuck with Mickey Tettleton in Detroit, guys. Just brutal. You know, I couldn't even find an Orioles Mickey Tettleton. It's just sad. The state of affairs is sad today. Hope you guys are doing okay. How are you? What's up? Hoop, you're smiling. I like that. JT's like, screw this. I got to get out of here, watch some NBA. It's all good. What's going on, Hoop? How are you, pal?
Oh, I'm doing well. I was watching the NBA game before I hopped on here, and that has turned into a massive blowout. Toronto's up by like 30, so good time to talk some baseball.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What's up there, JT? Give me some overall thoughts on this slate here, buddy, because we were talking a lot about offense before.
Yeah, it's definitely again, we see this probably 3 nights, 3 of every 5 nights, right? Where we've got a really difficult pitching slate where you're trying to crawl between landmines. But on the offensive side, there's some offenses I like. There's some offenses I really like that are going to be underowned. Definitely some traps out there. So, but we're going to get through all that. It's going to be great.
Hoop, what's the trends you're looking at heading into tonight?
Well, you know, in terms of the overall slate, like it's just one of those slates for me, you know, JT kind of touched on it with the pitching where there's a lot of landmines out there and a lot of guys that are uncomfortable to play. So when you have a slate like that, I think it's easy. Like I'm going to get my offenses first and kind of see what I have left at pitching and kind of just move on. Like I'm not going to make any pitcher like a priority, and I'm not going to change an offense around to get a certain pitcher in. It's just they're all risky. Nothing really stands out. So I actually prefer slates like this, to be honest with you. It makes building teams a lot more fun.
Is FanDuel working yet? Anything going on in FanDuel today?
Not for me.
Anyone?
Yeah, it was never not working for me, so I've been good to go all day.
You're fine? You've been in the whole time?
All day. No
Good.
issues.
You're just crushing people then. You should win a lot of money. The other 99% of us have no idea what's going on. All right, let's start here. Let's get into pitching. And we got Hyun-Jin Ryu and Chris Bassett at the top of the list on DK at 9,400. Then it's Matt Boyd and Zach Gallen and Zach Davies and Griffin Cannon. That's all the pitchers that are over 8K today. So, Hoop, let's start with you here. I know you're going to go back and fill your pitching in after your offense, but do you have a preference between Ryu and Bassett? Do you think you'll be on either one of these guys?
I have some interest in Ryu, moderate interest. I don't think I'll get there. I'm definitely not paying 9.4 for Bassett. Not a fan. JT will be able to touch on this a little bit more as to why, you know, we're not high on him. They've got the roof open. It's going to be really hot there. Sounds like I'll just let him talk about it. He laid it out perfectly to you and I before the show, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. I mean, I would potentially go Ryu. He's been pitching well, back-to-back starts. But I don't think, you know, you need to get there. The guy I have the most interest in, I think, is Gallen at the top at 8.8. Been pitching really, really well. 3 straight starts with at least 6 innings pitched, 6, 7, 9 strikeouts. He's just been steady. He's been consistent. One of those starts was in Coors too, I believe. So, that's a tough place to pitch. So I'll probably be on him, I think, the most at the top, but not overly thrilled with really any of these guys up here.
All right. I want to remind everybody, hit the like button. Like, click. That's it. Sign in, listen, subscribe, watch, hit the like button. It's all good. So, JT, you were talking about Bassett earlier. I want to get your thoughts on the whole slate of the high-end pitchers, but in specifics, Bassett.
Yeah, I'll start with Bassett because I love the Diamondbacks tonight. And they're not opening that roof because they think it's a cool thing. There are obviously no fans in the stadium here. They're opening the roof to promote offense because the Diamondbacks offense has been struggling a little bit. And Bassett is a guy that gives up a lot of fly balls. He doesn't give up as much hard contact as some of the other pitchers on the slate tonight, but he's priced way up on Draftkings. This is not a 9 or 10K pitcher. And, you know, there's enough lefties in that Arizona lineup. Calhoun, Peralta, even Escobar needs to get going. So I like it's 109 degrees. The roof is open. I love the Diamondbacks tonight. They're coming in for me at around 3% ownership, which is perfect. It's a beautiful late night hammer. When you look at on the other side of this to what Hoop was talking about with Gallen, Gallen is a guy, he does give up a little more fly balls to righties than I would like, but he also is a ground ball and strikeout pitcher, and he did just pitch very well in Coors last week. So I don't have as much concern with the roof being open with Gallen, given the type of pitcher that he is. Because of the slate, I think you can look at Ryu. Ryu is a guy who is really a pretty good real-life pitcher. He's annoying to roster. He's never a comfortable roster. I rostered him 3 weeks ago against the Braves after his first two really bad outings, and he did well. He was the highest scoring pitcher on the night because the Braves strike out a lot against lefties. The Orioles do not. The Orioles have been hitting the ball hard against lefties. They've got, I think, a 283 ISO against left-handed pitchers. So I'm going to avoid Ryu, who, it's an interesting night because that's, like you said, he's the highest priced pitcher. Him and Bassett at 9.4. I don't think I'll have either of them.
All right. So nobody wanted any Griffin Canning. Nobody wanted any Zach Davies, despite the fact that his real life numbers look good. If you look a little deeper, there's some question marks there. The Stripling, Touki Toussaint going up against the Nationals tonight. He looked good in his last outing, but my goodness, that's something I'm a little afraid of. So, Hoop, you were talking about not even getting up there, maybe saving some money. Who's the salary savers on there? And you're probably more talking cash, right?
Yeah, for cash games. For tournaments, obviously, you can do some other things, mix and match. But like a guy like Stripling, the upside's always going to be limited with the innings. But he seems like a guy that, should go 5 innings, pick up 5-6 strikeouts, potentially get the win. I'd be fine going to him. He's probably my favorite in this mid-tierish range. I like the combo of Stripling and Gallen. You can still do a lot with offense. I don't even mind this Canning guy for the Angels against the Giants here. Another guy, not going to go super deep into the game, but he can rack up some strikeouts. Probably best case scenario 5 innings. But honestly, you need to lower your expectations for these pitchers today, because there's not a guy out there that you're going to roster and feel comfortable that he's going to go 7 innings, get you 8 or 9 strikeouts and pick up the win. So you're just kind of trying to get by at pitcher today. And, I'm fine with those guys getting by, I guess.
All right. So here we go to the tournament arms, JT. Where are we going down a little bit lower? Zach Davies has that 21% K rate. If you believe in that, all of a sudden he's striking out a few more guys. Toussaint, I'm looking way down. What was that? Is there an Anibal Sanchez sighting on here? He's been absolutely. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. He's been. Yeah. Did you see what he's doing right now? He's given up 5 homers, 22 hits in his last 13 innings. That's 3 starts. He's been getting shelled, JT.
Yeah. So you talked about Davies, and I do. I keep waiting for the glass slipper to fall off, right? This is not a guy who's ever had a 21% K rate. He's not a guy who's ever been an 8K pitcher on Draftkings. There was some talk about maybe the roof being open in Texas, which would make this decision much easier, because then I would just say I'm going to have 0 Zach Davies, because the Rangers actually put out a decent lineup with 5 lefties. They got Danny Santana back, who's pretty good. But, the Rangers strikeouts put Davies in play, although the 8.2 price, and even the Padres announcers were talking about it, that the team understands that they really want to limit the amount of times and games where he gets through a third time in the order, right? They understand that he doesn't have that swing and miss stuff. And once you see him a couple of times, you're going to see the full arsenal. I like Stripling a little bit. I think the Seattle team the bottom of that lineup is not good. Stripling had a bad outing last time out. He's due for a bounce back. Toussaint's a little bit frightening. He had a really good start against the Blue Jays. Did not have a good start against the Yankees in New York, which I fully expected. He comes home to play a Washington team, but it's hot down here. I don't know if I'm going to get to Touki. I put him on the playbook, but he's scary as hell. So I started looking around and I said, well, who else can we play if I'm going to run 150 lineups and I'm going to have Gallen and I'm going to have Stripling? I need some other pitchers. And I dug into this Miami game, and I don't mind taking a few shots on Jordan Yamamoto. He's got a 4.5 K prop. That 4.5 is a 125 favorite to go over that. That stadium is a difficult stadium to score runs in. Definitely, not a cash play, probably not a comfortable roster. Gesellman on the other side of that at 4 or 5 I looked into, but I can't guarantee that he's going to throw more than 3 innings. So if he does well in those 3 innings, maybe that's enough. Martin Perez against the Yankees. We never like to pick on the Yankees, but Perez is 5'8". He's given up the 3rd lowest hard hit percentage. And I do like some of these Yankees as one-offs, but I mean, that's kind of the state of the slate. You know, Bielak is another guy. Brandon Bielak for Houston. Colorado's going into Houston. Colorado strikes out quite a bit, especially on the road. This is their first game outside of Coors. Bielak's nothing special. You're not going to get a lot of strikeouts. You're only going to get 5 or 6. But like Hoop said, if you're lowering your expectations and saying, look, if I can get 15 to 20, and I expect that the Astros should, just like the Dodgers, the Astros and the Dodgers should put up runs tonight. Maybe the Dodgers even more so. Bielak is a guy that I'd consider. The rest of this, Canning, there was a report that I read today. Canning may be tipping his pitches. He's given up 50% hard contact. He's been whacked around a little bit. I actually like the Giants lefties a little bit in this matchup because the Angels have a really bad bullpen as well. So it's tough. Pitching is pretty difficult tonight.
All right, so I think we're everywhere we need to be, right? Is there anybody else we didn't bring up? Hoop, did you go down far enough to where you just want to puke and put somebody in your lineup? You're playing cash.
I am willing to do that on occasion. Just go all the way down and just do the puke guy. But I don't know if I'm doing the puke guy today because I don't even see the puke guy down there. If I see a puke guy, I'm in.
We're missing studs and puke guys too.
The puke guy where you roster and pray that he gets 4 innings is Gesellman at 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, the Marlins started off pretty hot. They haven't been lately. That Park suppresses runs. How much of him do I want? Not a lot. But man, you could probably if you play Gesellman and you're going to pair him with Gallen or Stripling, you could do a double LA stack, which we'll talk about a little later.
Yeah.
Just real quick, JT, I just want to bring one thing up about Martin Perez. He's going against the Yankees. Of course, there's no LeMahieu, there's no Judge, there's no Stanton. The one thing I'm a little concerned about, though, is the walks. He's got 11 in 21 in a third innings. You know, he has a couple of those in an inning, boom. I mean, we're looking at a blast. So what's your confidence level in Perez? Like, are you going to have any exposure to him at all?
My confidence level on a scale of 0 to 10?
Yeah, with 10 being really good.
Yeah, half a
5.
Point. Half a point.
Oh, half a point. You will have no exposure.
I probably will have exposure to him because it's you're right. 18% strikeout rate, 13% walk rate. The question is, who do I have confidence in on this slate? Right. And so I can see having some shares of him just in case he can get lucky with balls in play, strike out a couple of those guys. Look, the Yankees are striking out 20% of the time against lefties. They also have a 214 ISO, so I'd feel better if it was a hard-throwing lefty who had swing and miss stuff. Perez doesn't. But that being said, where am I going to go on this slate, right? So for a couple of shares, I'll go with Martin Perez. Nobody should be loading up on him. Honestly, nobody outside of Gallen, maybe Stripling, nobody should be loading up 100% if you're playing more than one lineup on any of these other guys. All these other guys are kind of like, all right, am I going to get the right combo here?
Hey, Hoop, we really didn't talk about Jordan Montgomery. He's going up against this Red Sox offense tonight that still has a ton of talent and a ton of power, too. So we'll start with our offenses. Boston's implied total is 4.1. The Yankees are about 5.5 right now. Hoop, look at these two offenses between Boston and the Yankees. Are these one-offs, or would you stack either side?
Like Boston offense, like on this big slate, I'm not going to Boston. They've disappointed all season for the most part. Just not liking what they're putting out there right now. The Yankees side, it's interesting. Yeah, they have a good run total, like you mentioned, like JT mentioned. But they're missing some big bats in that lineup. That being said, now you can get the core of the Yankees lineup for much cheaper. We got a guy, Clint Frazier, at the batting third. Typically not a guy that bats third. You got Hicks leading off. So while it's a little bit watered down, you can get the core pieces for much cheaper. So I'll definitely have Yankee stacks. They're probably 4th or 5th on my list of teams I'm looking to stack. They're cheaper on FanDuel versus DK. On FanDuel, basically all these guys are 3K or below, so you can get the core of the Yankees here for 3K. The most expensive guy in their lineup tonight is Voit, second. He's 3.4K. Everyone else is under 3K. That's weird for a Yankees lineup. So, it's a good team. I'm going to have some exposure. Like I said, they probably rank 4th or 5th on my list.
Who were the Yankees on your list, and what are we doing with Boston tonight? Any guys in there?
Yeah, not like I said, not going to go to Boston. It's a big slate. Their offense has disappointed.
Oh, did I say your name? I meant to go to JT.
Mr.
Sorry.
Hayes, it's all you.
I already heard what you had to say.
Yeah, you already had
it. Was so riveting that I was just thinking about. What's up, JT? All right, JT.
Yeah, not for a full stack. I think the Yankees bullpen is certainly good enough. Especially, I haven't seen Chapman get in the game yet, but he's back.
Chapman's coming back tonight, and he will be active, and he will not be used 2 days in a row. So Chapman's back.
Yeah. So Britton closed out last night. They got Chapman back tonight, but you could look to Xander or JD or Pilar even as a one-off. Montgomery is not nearly the level even of a Hap. And they hit Paxton around Saturday night. So it's a team that kind of, like Zoop said, has been disappointing this year. But they do, and Vasquez, if he's in the lineup, hits lefties pretty well. He actually hit a double in the ninth against Britton last night, a nice opposite field double. So they do have some pieces that you could go to. But for a full stack, I don't know if there's just other offenses in so much better spots.
All right, guys, and if there's any ladies in there, I hope there are a couple of likes will help on our video. We got some Run Pure Sports swag coming at you to one of our wonderful viewers. Moving on to the next game. Hoop, let's get back down to you here in the Mets and the Marlins. And if you look at the Mets lineup, guess who's sitting second tonight? McNeil is back. So Jeff McNeil's in there. I know that JT had kind of mentioned Yamamoto as someone – if you really want to get uncomfortable, maybe he could do something. But how do you attack Yamamoto with the Mets on that side? And then we already talked about Gazelman getting a start for New York. And that Marlins offense cooled off just a little bit. There are some decent bats in there too, but they're facing a righty. Thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so I like to call JT head about your mama. Your mama?
Mama?
You remember last time you said you just handle the yo mama. We'll go with that. You handle the pronunciations. That's definitely not my strong suit. I do like that call about the 4.5 K prop. Just looked it up. Juice on the over. So that's very solid for a 5.6K pitcher. It's a price tag, right? 5.5. Is he 5.6 on DK or 6.6 on DK? So that's it. Just interesting little nugget there. Not the greatest hitting environment here. For the offenses. We have a lot of offenses in really good spots. I can't imagine getting to the Mets here, and I'm definitely not going to go to the Marlins either. So it's kind of a game where I'm just staying away, won't have much exposure. Not excited about either side, really.
JT, you excited about anything in this game?
No, not really. I mean, that park will go off like maybe, twice a month, and I'm not going to try and yes, that tonight's the time. I do have some interest in Yamamoto. Just, again, the state of the pitching on this slate. He's got literally the second best K prop on the slate that I saw at the DK book. So it's Stripling and then him both at 4.5. So, none of the offenses interest me here.
Well, let's go to the offense with Washington and Atlanta. You got Washington about 4.5. Total right there. In Atlanta, I mean, is nobody talking about Atlanta today, or have I just been shut off from the world watching NBA and NBA training camps or NFL training camps? Because I'm not hearing anything about as much on this side. And Sanchez has been so bad, JT, that I feel like there's 5 or 6 bats I'd feel pretty comfortable with in this Atlanta offense.
Yeah, Sanchez giving up, the 50% hard contact. He's given up a bunch of home runs. And look, I think when people think Anibal Sanchez, they think of his time with the Braves. They think of the fact that, The Tigers, I think it was, traded him, and he got down to Atlanta, and he had a good season. But in his career, he's had literally like that 1 season and a half. And the other time, outside of that, he's been a total gas can. And now he's up in the mid-30s, and he's back to being a gas can again. So I do like the Braves offense. The Braves are probably, the fourth offense on my list. And I do think them returning home. I do like the Braves offense. Them returning home after a weekend in Miami, they had a good weekend down there. But yeah, you look at guys like Freeman. The Draftkings had a mental error today. Travis d'Arnaud is hitting 30s, 2.5K. It sucks. He's going to be 50% owned, but the Braves you could fit in pretty easily with whatever pitching you want.
National side, Hoop, I'll leave this to you. And Touki Toussaint has been pretty interesting. He's given up some contact. He's also got some strikeouts. He was a big time prospect with the Braves. They're trying to get him on track right now. On the other side, he doesn't have the toughest matchup in the world because I've not been impressed with the Nationals at this point. But you do have Turner, you do have Soto, you do have Eaton, who actually matches up very nicely. And if you want to go down to the bottom, Kai Boom and Robles could at least save you some money, I suppose. Hoop, you take that side. You take the National side.
Yeah, so it's weird with the pricing here for the Nationals. You have like Trey Turner and Juan Soto both over 5K, and then for some reason like Eaton's 2.6K. Like JT mentioned with Travis d'Arnaud, it's like 2.5K. He's batting 30. He's gonna be super super popular. Eaton at 2.6K, I think is gonna be very popular too. You get a guy batting second. And it just makes roster construction very easy. So I think Eaton is going to be a popular value play. Then if you want to punt off second base, Luis Garcia, flat 2K. So all the way down to the bottom. So, it's very rare to get guys that are the min price, that are in a MLB lineup here. But we have that tonight. So you can use him to punt second base if you want. You got Eaton as an outfield value at 2.6K. That's probably all I'm doing here. I'm just going to play these cheap guys as lineup fillers, or even guys to consider in cash games, but not offense. I'm going to be stacking in tournaments tonight.
JT, just a real quick thought on the National side, and then I want to get yours on Toronto, Baltimore. Anything on the Nats?
Yeah, I have a little interest in Toussaint at 7-7 because he has been pretty good, although the Nats lineup kind of makes me think about that because he does struggle with lefties. Hoop mentioned, Eaton at 2.5 or 2.6 in the 2-hole. Soto's in there. Soto's been red hot, so the bottom of the lineup doesn't really concern me all that much for the Nats. But then again with Toussaint, I expect him to give up 2-3 runs. I'm hoping for the 7 Ks in 6 innings and hoping for him to limit run damage. So if I play any Nats, it'll probably be his one-offs.
All right, very good. So now let's get to this game. And before the show, you kind of mentioned Toronto, Baltimore. You got 2 pitchers in Hyun-Jin Ryu and Alex Cobb. I think, again, you mentioned it. Ryu's better in real life. And then Alex Cobb was the guy that you had an interesting take on. Him going up against this Toronto offense, Kevin Biggio. There's a lot of people, I think, that are going to end up stacking the Blue Jays tonight, and I wonder if you think that's a decent idea.
Yeah, they're not in the top 6 or 7 on my list, and it's not. I do like Kevin Biggio. Kevin Biggio is a guy who has been hitting very well, and he's very talented, obviously. But Bichette, they just placed on the IL yesterday. Cobb has been pitching much better. Cobb is a pitcher who was supposed to be really good. He's now had 3 or 4 good starts in a row. I think he's got a 3.77 xFIP on the year. Not he's not going to wow you with strikeouts or anything like that. But the Orioles, I think people, and they're doing this on the offensive side too. When they think of the Orioles, they think of the last place Orioles of the last 2-3 years. But even in the second half of last year, you could use that Orioles offense. That bullpen this year has not been nearly as bad as it was last year. In fact, they're not in the bottom 10 of bullpens for the season or for the last 10 days. So their bullpen has figured some things out, some of the arms they have in there. So I'm much less on Toronto than some other people may be. And I outside of Biggio, I don't know that I'll roster a Blue Jay. They did play a doubleheader, not a doubleheader, but they played, something like one of those 3 games in 2 days. They had a weird play the rest of a suspended game yesterday. Then they waited a couple hours and played a full game, and there were a bunch of runs scored there. And then they traveled down to Baltimore. It's just a spot that doesn't stand out to me for Toronto.
All right, so where are we going in cash with these two teams?
Yeah, so some of these Toronto guys kind of stand out. I think, on FanDuel, second base is kind of weak. I think you can go ahead and play Biggio there. At the top, it's Biggio, Altuve, and it's pretty easy to get basically whatever you want because we just don't have the pitching that we need to pay out for. So I think Biggio is a fine second base option. Travis Shaw is a guy on DK that I kind of like his price tag, 3.9K. I think that's pretty fair, third base and first base. Eligibility, Tellez, fifth, he's 3.4K. I think you can take a look at him. I'll have a Toronto stack. If I'm probably going to do about 20 tournament teams, I'll have a little bit of Toronto, maybe 1 or 2, but I'm not brave enough to go to the Baltimore route.
All right. Hey, guys, I just want to throw a couple things out here. I see in the chat, a couple guys are bringing up some weather. Oh, what up, Yeezy? It's good to see you. And by the way, we're at 57 thumbs up. So we got about 30 minutes left, and we need to get another 43, and then somebody's going to get some swag. But as I was bringing up, hey, the showers, the thunderstorms, and they're likely before 10 o'clock. So, again, it's a 60% chance, maybe a quarter to a half an inch. Listen, I'm no weatherman, but just looking at that, I would feel like it would get in. There's also a couple other weather spots I think are interesting because the wind, while it's not going to be too heavy, it's going to blow straight out at Nationals Park. And that place is already, or in Atlanta, I should say, and that place is already going to be really warm and humid. So that's something to look at. And those are the 2 games where, and I think the Cubs game too, if you're doing any of the 7-inning stuff, the wind should be blowing in there. But I just wanted to bring that up. So let's do it and move on to our next game. And we'll get to the offense with the Royals and the Twins. If you know me, I always throw a little twin stack in there, just have a little bit of fun. Hoop, it's Bubik. Big left-hander going against the Twins tonight. I love Nelson Cruz. I think everybody's probably going to look at him. 5,700 on DK, though. Any exposure whatsoever to the Twins? Do you even bother on the Royals side?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. Like if I'm making teams, I'm definitely going to have a twin stack. And that price on Nelson Cruz, I like it because that means his ownership is going to be a little bit lower. And I don't see many people paying the 5.7 for Nelson Cruz. I mean, that's a little bit, just slightly below Mike Trout. People most likely to try to get up to Trout in that situation. So I'm always going to stack the Royals. They're, a top 5 stack for me against this crappy Royals team. Garver batting second. He's only 2.5K on FanDuel. That stood out as a really good value play. Polanco, Cruz, like those. And you can also go down to the bottom. I mean, there's upside at the bottom of this lineup too, which I like. Sano, Kepler, even though it's lefty-lefty, I'm fine with that. Buxton. I mean, this is a strong lineup from top to bottom. You can get unique. You can do some different things, but I'm definitely going to have exposure to the Twins. Nothing on the Royal side for me.
All right. Anything on the Royal side for you, JT? And then where do you sit on the Twins in a stack with the Twins?
Yeah, you definitely should have exposure to the Twins tonight going against a rookie left-hander who's pitched pretty well, but also shown, that he's a rookie and he's going to give up runs, So definitely like that price, like Hoop said, on Nelson Cruz. Polanco's leading off tonight, which makes him very interesting. I mean, we were playing him quite a bit when he was hitting second, but they finally have moved away, at least today, from the Mitch Garver leading off experiment. I'm going to actually put somebody who can maybe steal a base up there. So I like that because I do think he'll get more opportunities to steal in front of Garver than he does in front of Nelly Cruz. The Royals side, these games are the hardest to peg, right? Because the Twins are going to start Matt Whistler, who is not really a good pitcher, but he's only going to pitch 1, maybe 2 innings. Then we have no idea what's going to come after him. Twins bullpen has been okay. Nobody's going to own the Royals. So if you're running 150, sure, it's worth taking a shot. But there are just other spots that jump out to me so much more. I want to go back to 2 things that you mentioned. One, going back to the Baltimore stack or Baltimore stack option, if you're running more than 20, you should definitely have a Baltimore stack in there. I am buying in on this talent arriving a little bit earlier than Baltimore management expected, and we've seen it. It's not like they've hit for a week. They've been hitting for 3 weeks, and there was a stat yesterday where they faced something like the top 7 or 8 highest paid pitchers in baseball. The Scherzers, the Coles, the Corbins, and those pitchers have something close to an 80 ERA against the Orioles. So definitely worth a shot against Hyun-Jin Ryu, who really doesn't strike a lot of people out, and the Orioles don't strike out. Second point about the weather, yeah, you want to come off the starting pitchers in the Yankee-Red Sox game. That makes perfect sense with the weather up there. I would not necessarily, depending on what those reports say, fade the offenses, because I think that's what a majority of people are going to do. And I think they're going to want to play these games because, they have a shortened time window. You never know when a team is going to get hit with the COVID bug and have to take a break. So if there's a way to get this game in, they will. So if you love one of those two offenses, I wouldn't stay away from it just because there's a chance of rain later tonight.
No doubt about it. I mean, this is where you get a little advantage in GPP when people are fading because they're worried about the weather. And you're right. I mean, listen, if it's starting pitching and you're worried about it, fine. Right now, there's just different reports. You got the government say nobody trusts the government, do they? They're saying, listen, you'll get a little bit of rain and it'll pass through. Other people saying it'll happen late and then you might miss the end of the game. So you can use your own discretion there. I just want to get to Nelson Cruz. We all know that he blasts left-handers. So last year, that 485 ISO, and he just picked it up again. He's got 18 plate appearances. He's hit 3 home runs. He's got a 625 ISO. I mean, how do you even fade this guy anywhere? I'm almost, 57? I almost just have to pay that much to just jam him in my cash lineup, Hoop. I got to have some Nelly Cruz.
Yeah, and he's a guy that runs hot and cold too. And, when he's hot, you want to be on him because he gets really hot. So I like that call. I don't think he's going to have high ownership. Like I said, that price tag is going to scare some people. So I like the Cruz call. And a great one-off option, if you're trying to, fill your last spot and it's not working with the stacks, like playing him, you can definitely do that.
Yeah. We talked about how, you're not really going to spend a lot on pitching tonight. And then you've got Darno at 2.5 at catcher, and you've got Eaton for one of the outfield spots at 2.6 if you're playing cash. You could easily fit that 5.7. Quite frankly, you could get both him and Trout if you wanted to in that type of lineup.
Mm-hmm. Just all things being equal, Trout or Bellinger tonight?
Trout. It's always Trout for me.
Take a minute to marinate it on, man.
Well, just because of the matchup, Bellinger's actually started to hit over the weekend, started to hit the ball hard. They both have fantastic. I mean, they both have the Dodgers and the Angels have the top opposing pitching matchups on the board, and it's really not all that close tonight.
It really is remarkable where we're going with Bellinger and Trout. I love the debate. Just two amazing talents. So let's get to this game then, a little bit more with the next game. Oh, it's never comfortable being on the Tigers offense. And I was yesterday in a betting spot, and thank God. Actually, it didn't work out because the umpires screwed me. They said a ball was under the fence and it never was. Anyways, they have a juicy matchup tonight taking on Gio Gonzalez. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. On the other side, you've got the White Sox. They're going up against Boyd. You got a left-hander coming in. JT, Detroit. How many lineups do you have to put in to have a Detroit stack? And what you take on the White Sox with a pretty high implied total, well over 5?
Well, yeah. I mean, until Matthew Boyd gets his issues figured out with fly balls and hard contact, and you saw the power of the White Sox yesterday, right? 4 home runs back-to-back in a row. This is a much easier matchup, quite frankly, against a Detroit team that doesn't have a very good bullpen after Boyd. On the flip side with Detroit, my guy Jacoby Jones, they're finally giving him some respect and putting him in the leadoff slot. I mean, I've got to have Jacoby Jones. I think he's 3-1 on DraftKings, probably less at FanDuel. Look, on the whole, I have more interest in the White Sox than Detroit just because the talent on the Detroit side is a little bit less. But these prices make for great one-offs. And certainly if you're running a number of lineups, you can put a Gallon Stripling lineup together with really, and mix Detroit with the Dodgers, the Angels, the Diamondbacks, the Braves pretty easily. And I think that's probably something I'm going to look at tonight. I do like the White Sox too.
What do you think, Hoop? Any cash plays here?
Yeah, I mean, no, not really. I guess the one guy I'd consider would be Jonathan Scope, batting fourth. Second base is not the strongest of positions tonight. He has upside, especially against fly ball lefties. So I think maybe him. I think the White Sox are interesting for tournaments. I think people see the name Matt Boyd and, maybe get a little bit worried, but he's been bad. So I think they're interesting for tournaments. And like I said, maybe Scope on the Tiger side.
Come on, man. Isaac Paredes is up. You're not going to start him at third base? 770 OPS in the minors, 40
I don't even know if he's in the player pool.
I like the Jacoby Jones thing. Let's talk about this just for a second. Are there always one-offs? And I was talking about T yesterday. He's always got like one-offs that are always in the mix for him. For me, it's like Christian Walker against the lefty, and I think he's like Darren Ruff. Who are your one-offs, guys? Just every night you're going to look at these guys, see if they're facing the right-handed, the correct-handed pitcher, and then you just plug them in your lineup for some cheapness and differentiation. Who?
Yeah, I mean, the guy that I always use for one-offs, we just talked about last game, and it's Nelson Cruz. Yeah. But he's not a cheap guy. But obviously, if you're I guess to talk a little strategy, like if you're going to play a one-off, you want it a boom or bust type guy. You want it to be a guy that's swinging for the fences. So if I'm ever playing a one-off, it's definitely going to be a guy that has home run upside.
Yeah, you're not doing it too much in cash, but you do want to get that leverage in GPPs, JT. You just have guys on a list in your mind. You're like, all right, let's see what he's doing tonight.
No, I do tend to look at the top 10 in isolated power against that hand and then look at that matchup. So, of course, I know when Nelson Cruz is facing a lefty. There's a couple of other guys on there that you look at. But Jacoby Jones, the reason why I mentioned him is he's a guy who I happen to think is talented. And he's been languishing in the 9 spot in this lineup and doing nothing but crushing. I don't know. I don't know how many homers he has. I should get his career stat and his season stats, but it seems like every time we talk about him on the show, he hits a bomb, and he's got speed. He can steal bases. He's a guy who hits for power. So I like him in the 1 spot, and I think at 3-1 on DK, yeah, I do like that quite a bit as a one-off. The other thing is good point on Paredes about being I think he's 2K on DK. And if you're using an optimizer tonight, you should really look at those 2K guys and make sure that you're limiting or capping their exposure, because on a night like tonight, you could end up with a little bit more of one of those guys than you actually want. So you got to take a look at that.
All right, I got some news on the Rangers. John Blake, their wonderful PR guy, I've known for a long time. They're going to wear white jerseys and regular blue caps. We don't give a damn about that. The roof is closed with Texas. So we're going to get to the Padres and the Rangers now. That's big news. And again, do you want to attack Zach Davies with this Rangers offense, which has been extraordinarily disappointing for the most part? And then on the other side, it's the Padres versus Lyles, and that's not scaring me too much. Tatis is priced up to 5-4. You also got guys like Jake Cronenworth down the lineup. I think he's hitting 5th tonight. He's really cheap at 3K. Machado's hitting the ball well. JT, the San Diego side, take that for us.
Yeah, I mean, this park, we just talked about Marlins Park a little while ago, right? And this park has shown early to suppress runs. They opened the roof once, and it didn't work out quite the way they wanted it to. They got blasted. So I know that San Diego's been hot. They've been playing well. I just don't love the spot tonight. I think Lyles has actually pitched well against many of the same team in the past. He's not the same guy. He's not a very good pitcher at this point, but I have to think that he's going to regress and not be as terrible as he's been. So I'm just not all that interested in the Padres tonight.
All right. Hoop, what about you? Any Padres to play tonight? And then maybe you can get into the Texas side too.
Well, Texas sucks, and I'm definitely not playing them, so that'll be easy. You kind of touched on it. Just a disappointing offense, and in this ballpark, and Davies has been pitching well. Like, They're probably one of my least favorite offenses here tonight. On the other side, though, I'm a little higher on the Padres. I mean, it's a powerful offense. The hitting environment, not great, but man, like they have some power at the top. Grisham's only 3.6 on DK. I think he is interesting. The other guys have, slightly higher price. Well, not slightly, but like Tatis at 5.4. He's up there. Machado. But I guess the one thing, the more we talk about these games and this slate, prices probably don't matter all that much. I mean, the pitching is you can get cheap pitchers, so you can get any offense you really want. So I guess I'm going to stop referencing pricing when I talk about these guys. But I like the Padres. They're probably my favorite low-owned stack tonight. I don't know. I can't expect I don't expect super high ownership on them. So they're kind of my favorite under-the-radar stack.
We only got 4 games to go. Here's one. The Rockies are now out of Colorado. And I had a buddy that did a study, and he feels like the Rockies' road woes are more than anything else just because they see a lot more fastballs up here in Colorado. You're not getting the same spin. It's a lot more fastballs and not breaking balls. And you're going to see a lot more of that on the road. And it's interesting to look at the splits, right? You wonder why the Rockies aren't so good on the road. Then you got Houston coming home. Their offense has been completely kickstarted by Yordan Alvarez. He's going bananas. JT, either side tonight in play, I got to think you like some Astros, no?
Yeah, no, definitely any night, right? There's a couple of options we talk about any night. Astros, Yankees, Twins, Dodgers, right? Do they stand out as one of the top options? Not necessarily tonight, just because I like these other spots better. Yordan came back, promptly hit a home run, but then he got scratched because of a knee issue. I did not see if he but I don't know if we can expect him in the lineup tonight. Freeland is a guy who's an okay real-life pitcher. I don't have any interest in him as a pitcher tonight. I do have some interest in Bielak, the Astros pitcher. He's not going to strike a lot of people out, but you mentioned it, right? The Coors, the Rockies are outside of Coors. They're a worse-hitting team. I said it last week on the show. I think there's a couple of guys in that lineup who would still be in Double-A if they didn't play in Colorado. So not all that concerned about them. Bielak's not going to strike a lot of people out, but he's going to maybe go 5 innings and probably get a win here. And the Rockies bullpen isn't very good. So, definitely some interest in the Astros, and I don't believe that I'll have any Rockies lineups tonight.
Yeah, I think, and we always do talk about Colorado or Houston being in play. I just wonder at this point with Freeland going on the road. I going to the left hand. I wonder if the Astros are just going to go completely bonkers tonight. Hoop, what are we looking at from a cash perspective in this game?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely take a look at some Astros. Altuve, if he's at the top of the order at second base. Second base just kind of a weird position today. Not a ton, especially on FanDuel. Bregman, Springer, those guys are always cash games playable. I don't think I'll be going there, though, just because the other spots are just better. Dodgers spot. I like that Angel spot that we'll talk about here in a few. The Twins. Like them in tournaments, probably not many cash game plays, and definitely not the Rockies, like you touched on. I mean, it takes a lot for me to consider them when they're on the road, and just not a good spot, just not a good team on the road. And, there's now, you brought up numbers behind that as to why potentially. So
real quick, I just want to jump in with this. This is pretty big news then. Alvarez is not going to play tonight. He had an MRI on his knee. It did come back negative, but he is going to be out of the game tonight. So does that change anything?
Yeah, not too much. I mean, not really, no. I mean, like I said, I like the Astros. They're in my top 8 stacks, I'd say. Ownership should not be super high. Just the lineup. I need to see the lineup because they've been kind of mixing some guys, moving some guys around. So I really need to see this Astros lineup before I really commit to anything there.
I mean, if you got everybody back, JT, but there's no Alvarez, does that affect things? I mean, I feel like it really got going when he came back. It's been a very short amount of time, but boy, they started ripping the cover off the ball.
No, I don't necessarily think that. I don't see a cause and effect there. I see that Alvarez is a great player, but because he's missing isn't necessarily going to keep me off of the Astros. It's more the environment. I like some of the other game environments a little bit better than I do like this spot.
So then we got Seattle and the Dodgers. And tonight on the mound for the Mariners is a kid that they got in the Edwin Diaz deal. He was a first-round pick of the Mets back in 2016, Justin Dunn, low strikeout pitcher and kind of a higher walk rate too. Let's see here. If you go back, it's only 7 games in the majors, but we're talking about 8.7 walks per 9. I mean, this is probably why everybody's on the Dodgers tonight, from the number 1 Mookie Betts all the way down to Austin Barnes hitting 9th. So I know you love – I know both you guys love him, JT, but where in the lineup are you attacking here? What's the core out of the Dodgers you take?
Yeah, so the Dodgers are clearly the chalk tonight, so to speak. The number I'm seeing estimating is around 25% owned, which is ridiculous on a slate this size. So maybe that's a little bit elevated. Maybe that's only going to be for a couple of the guys like a Bellinger or a Mookie or a Corey Seager. Definitely have interest in the Dodgers. Justin Dunn, 13% strikeout rate, 17% walk rate, 706 xFIP, 44% hard contact. And he actually pitched fairly well in Texas last week when they closed the roof. And I don't expect a repeat. So I think the Dodgers are definitely in play. Here's the thing I'm going to look at, though. I'm going to look at who I actually want to play from that lineup, because we know that there's an excellent likelihood that the Dodgers go off tonight and they score somewhere in the neighborhood of between 8 and 12 runs, right? We know that when that happens, Dave Roberts is going to get crafty and he's going to pull some people out. So if I'm looking at this Dodgers lineup, I'm going to stick to the guys that he plays every day. So the lineup wasn't out before the show, but I'm gonna be a little bit lower on a guy like Jock Peterson if he's in there, and try and keep it to the Seagers, Bellingers, Betts, even the catcher there has a chance of getting pulled. So Justin Turner is a guy. Definitely like him. And it's happening with a number of these teams because of the increased number of roster spots in that taxi squad. They're moving players back and forth. So I am on the Dodgers. I'm going to try and keep it to the core, or I know they're going to get 4 to 5 at-bats.
Hoop, how many Dodgers you got in your cash lineup?
As many as I can get in there. So
Right.
on FanDuel, it's going to be 4, and then hopefully on Draftkings, it's 5. We'll see. I mean, definitely 3 on FanDuel, and then 3 or 4 on DK. I mean, they are priced up, so it's hard to get them all in there, but I'm going to get as many as I can. It's the top spot. I mean, the hope is here, like we talked about earlier, like their lineup, it doesn't come out before lock, which it probably will. We still have another hour and 10 minutes, and that will in turn lower their ownership if the lineup's not out. Yes, they're still going to have ownership. It's not going to be 5%. They're going to be a highly owned team. But if this lineup's not out before lock, I think that's just great for GPPs. We obviously have late swap. Go ahead and switch some guys around if you need to. But clearly a top offense, absolutely love them. Cash games, we're going to do our best to load up our lineups with members of this Dodgers team here.
Okay, good. Let's move on. Giants and Angels. Everybody loves Mike Trout. Beautiful. So the Angels going up against a left-hander tonight. Just to let everybody know, Tyler Anderson is hitting the mound there. Tyler Anderson's a guy that throws about 5 innings every start and strikes out 2 batters. So that's why we didn't talk about him on the pitching side. But I keep telling you guys, I love this offense. Man, I mean, you can go La Stella, Trout, Rendon, Ohtani. Justin Upton didn't do anything, but he's hitting 7th. He's still got a chance. Max Stassi's had some big home runs for that team. Hoop, the Angels, take them. Nobody plays the Giants in cash. Yastrzemski and Dickerson and Longoria. I mean, those 3 guys, if you don't pay attention to the Giants, you're just every night just like, these guys suck. There have been some one-offs in that lineup that have really produced. So, Hoop, we start with you. Giants, Angels. Give me some names, if there are any.
Well, it's definitely Mike Trout. I mean, and the thing, we got a 10 total here, a team total for the Angels approaching 6, which we typically don't see in this ballpark. So definitely should have the alarms going off there a little bit. So another team, we need this lineup, the Angels lineup, to see exactly who we like. But the top 2 guys in this lineup are clearly Trout and Rendon. Gonna cost you a little bit, but like we said, that doesn't matter because we don't have the pitching to pay for. So I will definitely have some stacks. And the same thing as the Dodgers here. For tournaments, I don't want this lineup out before lock because that will go ahead and get people to kind of shift off the Angels and do a little double LA stack like we talked about. Could bring the ownership down if we don't have these lineups. So definitely interested in the Angels here, and that they have some guys. Upton. I'm curious to see where he bats in this lineup. He's cheap across the industry, so a lot to like here on the Angels side. No Giants for me.
JT, Angels, Giants. Let's hear it.
Yeah, the Angels are going to come in at about a quarter of the ownership of the Dodgers, and Tyler Anderson is, by the numbers, the second worst starting pitcher on the slate tonight. He also gives up a lot of hard contact and a ridiculously high WOBA to left-handed batters. So I love Ohtani tonight in addition to Trout. I like La Stella tonight. On the flip side of this, we were talking about a little bit before the show, there's some reports about the Angels thinking that Griffin Canning was tipping his pitches. Regardless of what he was doing, he's giving up 50% hard contact, and I really do like these Giants lefties. Yastrzemski, Dickerson, Brandon Belt. You can even go to Crawford at the bottom of this lineup because he generally doesn't get pinch hit for. He's cheap on Draftkings at 2.9 in a position shortstop that isn't totally loaded tonight. There's definitely good players there, but they're not in the greatest spot. So I have a little bit of interest in the Giants, but I love the Angels tonight.
I like that, man. I'm gonna look a little bit more into that. A's and Diamondbacks. The roof is open. We had this conversation. It's 110, 115 degrees out there. They want the runs. Hoop, let's start with you. I just want to focus on the Arizona side here.
Yeah.
Going up against Chris Bassett, who has been a really good pitcher this season, I guess, from your traditional stats and stuff. I think if you dig down a little bit, he doesn't strike a lot of guys out. So tell me this. Who's in play from Arizona? Who's not in play from Arizona tonight? That's more the question. If this is just going to be a gas can and balls flying out of the ballpark, how can you take anyone off the list?
Yeah, so I can't steal the thunder of Mr. JT Hayes. He's the one that brought up the Diamondbacks, and I was not on them until he hopped on and talked to him. So I think he's the man to break down the Diamondbacks. I'm on Gallen, so I'm not really going to have – I'm definitely not playing the Athletics. But it's interesting topic to have. Like with the roof open, it's super hot. The offense should be there. They have bats in there that can do some damage too. So we'll flip it over to JT to kind of break it down a little bit more for you.
Real quick, because you guys have brought up Gallen pitching, and he looks good on paper, but he's throwing in this game. So do we have to cross him off the list now that the roof's open? JT?
Go ahead, JT.
No, so a couple of things here. One, yes, Bassett has pitched well. I think he's pitched a little better than his talent level is. And the other thing is he gives up a lot of fly balls, over 50 or close to. He's pitched a little better fly balls. So for this Arizona team, the reason why they're opening the roof is because they fully expect that that's going to generate more offense, and they're betting on it generating more offense for them tonight than the other side. And the reason why they're doing that is because Zach Gallen is more a ground ball and strikeout pitcher than he is a fly ball pitcher. He does give up a few more fly balls to right-handed batters than lefties, which is a little bit of a concern with the Oakland lineup. But he just pitched in Coors last week, and when he's pitched in Coors, he's pitched okay. He did okay last week. He gave up some runs, but he also struck out, I think it was 6 or 7 batters, and went 6 or 7 innings. So on a slate like tonight, no, he's still my top guy because I think he's going to get these right-handed batters to strike out or to ground out more often than he is to hit fly balls. And I am going to take the Arizona Diamondbacks and their 3% ownership and jam them in as many lineups as I absolutely can, and mix and match them with the other teams that I like, because I think people will come off of this game on the pitching side, but not necessarily jump onto this game on the offensive side, outside of maybe a Ketel Marte or a David Peralta. And I do think there's other pieces here. If Vogt cracks the lineup, you got to play Steven Vogt, right? I mean, Stassi, the same thing for the Angels. Everyone, we know that d'Arnaud is going to be 44% owned. Max Stassi crushes left-handed pitching. He should crack the lineup for the Angels tonight. Similar situation in Arizona. So I'm still on Gallen. I haven't seen a K prop for him. That's something that could sway me if one comes out and I don't like it. But definitely give me the Arizona Diamondbacks. I love them tonight.
I got 6.5 Ks, plus 120. So you're getting some dog money too, man. 6.5 Ks for Gallen.
I'll take 5. I'll take 6.
Yeah.
Take 6 in 6 innings. I'll be happy with that.
All right, very good. Hey, Hoop, real quick. A's, give me some A's. They're in that same ball,
Yeah, I know. I'm just on Gallon so much where I'm not playing the A's. I mean, it would be one-off power bats if anything, but I will not have any A's in my lineups tonight.
Oh, we need 14 more likes in the next 5. I don't think we're getting there, guys. This is a challenge, but 14 more likes in the next 5 minutes, or nobody's getting any free Run Pure gear, is what I'll tell you. All right, let's do stacks, guys. JT, I mean, we've just listened to you talk about the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers. Kind of know where you're going with this. Give me your top 3 stacks.
Yeah, Dodgers, Angels, Diamondbacks. And I'll give you a 4th one just because I only think there's 5 or 6 offenses that are going to go crazy tonight. The Braves. We talked about them earlier.
So no Yankees. You don't think the Yankees are going nuts?
I mean, they could do it any night, but you don't necessarily get to the top by playing the offense the same offense every night. So I'm gonna stick with. I think there's going to be ownership on the Dodgers. There's probably going to be ownership on the Braves, but I think the Angels and the Diamondbacks are going to be very low on tonight.
Hoop, 3 stacks.
Definitely the Dodgers, the Braves, and then kind of a little under the radar one, the Padres.
Got a home run call for us, Hoop? Give me 1 or 2.
I will say, let's see, we'll go George Springer, Nelly Cruz, and I got to pick a Travis Shaw. I think Travis Shaw gets one.
All right, cool. I'm going Travis d'Arnaud. I'll keep it Travis, too. I think he's going to knock Anibal Sanchez tonight. JT, home runs.
Yeah. Top high end, let's go Freddie Freeman. Mid-tier, Cole Calhoun. And then I got to go back to Jacoby Jones, man. I got it.
He's really hit the ball well. I mean, we laugh about it with the Tigers, but he's the one guy that you got to look at all the time. All right, we're done, right? We got anything else? Anything else you guys want to say? Just goodbye? We did it. We got to 101, dude.
That's 101.
Yeah.
Holy moly. That took 2 minutes to get the rest. Congratulations. You want me to pick somebody out?
Let's go. We got to get a winner.
Right. I don't know who Jason Runyon is, but he asked about top stacks, which was what we just did. I think we did it. Jason Runyon, you are getting some swag. Now, I don't know who they have to – Hoop, you want to just give your phone number out here over the over the show
phone number
or your personal email? How are we hooking up Runyon here?
Yeah, I just message him with my home address, social security number, phone number, and then it just appears at his door. But no, yeah, just reach out to Big T on Twitter or like info@RunPureSports, and we'll get you hooked up with the gear.
Beautiful. That's all you had to do. Good luck tonight, Hoop. I hope you win.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good luck tonight, JT. I hope you win.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just all about the acts of kindness today. For Captain back in the studio, there's a very good swing for the fences. I hope everybody has some success tonight. That'd be nice. I thought it was a great show. You guys brought up some terrific points. We'll catch you later.